Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this AFK journey video. So in today's AFK journey video, I'm proud to announce that we have actually created a new PvE team, or rather a PvE team which I actually introduced before but improved upon with the release of Lily May, that is super viable, and this team doesn't run any healers. Okay, so before we begin talking, this team is a lot better in the Song of Strife season in a sense because Song of Strife actually has a way to sustain without any healers in the team, and that is through evocation spell. Because as you guys can see over here, evocation spell is able to provide a series of buffs, one which includes a shield, one which includes a life drain, attack, as well as haste. So the shield as well as the life drain will be in charge of the sustain for this team, and then the attack as well as the haste will be important to give you additional DPS to push through certain stages. So later on, I'll introduce the teams as well as the units and talk about why is this team good, right, for PvE content pushing, when is it not so good, and when's the best situation to use it. First of all, let's start with the first two units. They basically come together, which is Iron and Almas, which I introduced multiple times. Iron Almas control combo is just insane. At the start of battle, being able to just hold everyone together to allow your other units to do more is just an insane duo combination that most people should run right now. It's like the most meta pairing. And the next unit to introduce is actually our dear Lily May, because Lily May right now has one of the strongest damage overall if she's able to draw the whole battle. So Lily May will be our secondary win condition, right, over Smokey. So in most Smokey teams, I think Smokey is like the secondary or the primary win condition, and in this team's case, I'll say there's actually a few winning condition. The Iron Hours combo is the one of the win condition where you just consistently trap enemies together, and then we're going to introduce the fourth unit in today's list, which is Tasia. So when you put everybody together with Iron, right, as well as almost just stunning them immediately, it allows Tasia to trample over them. And being able to control enemies consistently, right, with this cycling of skills itself is just really insane. And there are certain, I'll say, like combos where immobilize from Iron doesn't work, and that's where Tasia kick in to actually disrupt them with the mini stampedes itself. So both Tasia as well as Irons, they are pretty good pairing together with Almas. And on top of that, Tasia is a light bearer, which sort of help you do more damage against the Maulers, which is one of the weakness of our dear Wilders in the team right here. So Tasia, Iron as well as Almas is one win condition where you just hold everyone together and then just stampede them to death. Our dear Lily May right here is a secondary win condition which just does so much damage across the whole battle that you are able to naturally win just by her being super duper stacked up. And then for the last units, usually you will see a healer in the slot, but because you have so much control in the team, together with the sustain coming out from evocation spell, you can simply just slot in another damage dealer. In this case, I will actually put in Iron to give me more stats for the factional bonus, but you can also put in our dear Carolina here for even more damage, because Carolina has further magical damage reduction, which allows Lily May to do more. So I will do the two variants. Probably I'll do Arden first, in a sense, because Arden has more control as well as damage, and then I'll do one team with our dear Carolina. So the fifth slot, I'll say it's rather flexible. If you don't have any issue in terms of doing damage, like you're doing enough with just this 4 unit, you can obviously put in healers for even more sustain, for example Damien, right? You can also put in Scarletta just to give you a little bit more stats, as well as the potential for true damage knockouts. So there is a lot of flexibility in the 5th slot, but these 4 units, I'll say they are quite important, because there are certain stages where Iron Almas combo won't make it, right? That's where our dear Tasia will come in and then continue that chaining cycle, as you guys will see later. And if you were to put in Arden, you have even more control in the team because Arden is able to root. So without further ado, let me showcase a few run by auto battle, and you guys will see how this team works. So you put everyone together, you stun everyone at the start of battle, and then Tasia just goes in and stampedes on everyone. So usually one issue with Tasia is you don't actually have a way to just hit multiple enemies with her attack. But for Tasia, with this combo itself, because Iron as well as our dear Almas just pulls everyone together, Tasia is able to stampede through all the different enemies, stun them while dealing damage to them. So in this case, right, even though we don't have a healer right here, we are able to get our HP back by a few means. Number one is obviously from the shielding, from the skill itself, from evocation spell, as well as the life drain on the 3rd cycle. And Tasia herself actually has inbuilt lifesteal, which allows her to actually, not lifesteal actually, HP regeneration, which allows her to regen a little bit of HP while being really annoying on the front line. So another strength about Tasia is she actually becomes control immune once you use the ultimate enough times, which allows you to be a very disruptive secondary tank later on. So after this run itself, I'll showcase the damage output. So for Arden's slot, I would say Arden would probably be the best fit if you want to actually have more synergy in the team, because then you have multiple ways of control. You have Tamazia's interrupt, you have Iron's immobilize, you have Alma's synergizing with the Tamazia as well as Iron, and then you also have Arden in terms of the routing. So right here, I'm going to pause this auto battle and showcase the damage output. So as you guys can see, Arden is still doing the most damage, because if you're in a very short battle, right, Lily May is not your primary win condition. She does a lot of damage, but Lily May is stronger with time, and Lily May is stronger, right, the more enemies you kill. Whereas let's say if the battle draws out super duper long, then this damage numbers will be a little bit different. So I'm going to try one more run, and hopefully we get a battle where the fight is a little bit longer. Okay, so this team right here, I would say that it's relatively successful on most stages. I think that if there's one stage which is a little bit weaker, it's probably magic immune stages, because Tamazia is a physical attacker, Alma is a physical attacker, but the other three main damage dealer, they are still very magic centric. So your like majority of your damage still comes from like those magical attackers. But if you do meet like, for example, magic damage reduction units, massively kind, you can actually replace Arden with a physical attack unit. For example, maybe Laika in your team, and then you might have a way to actually push through those stages as well. So this is why the 5th slot is relatively, I'll say, flexible. You can just slot in the units to actually counter the conditions. For example, if you need heals to just survive some initial barrages, you can use Huin or even Damien, but Damien provides the additional haste, which is also equivalent to more damage across the different units anyway. So right here, as you guys can see, I just hands-free and, you know, discuss about the strength of this unit. And this team was actually shared by me in my top 5 free-to-play team, right, where I talked about this Tamazia, Almas, and Aros combo. And I think this team got even better, because right now you can take out Smokey and use Lily May in Smokey's place as that secondary massive damage dealer, and you fulfill that higher factional bonus, which gives your team overall like more damage by having increased attack. So everyone is doing more damage and everyone is surviving better from there. Yeah, so this is one reason why I really love this team, because like, okay, other than Lily May being just generally powerful, I just like the fact that we are able to use Tamazia in one game mode specifically, especially in PvE, because I always thought Tamazia had the potential to be a really annoying controller and a decent damage dealer, as you guys can see. So later on after this, I'll probably showcase the damage run. Yeah, so you guys can see right here, like Tamazia actually does pretty decent damage. It's just that I think for Tamazia's case, if the enemies are really spread out apart, like the overall damage output is not as high, because she's heavily reliant on her first skill, which is the Stampede, right? Just her moving through and ramming through multiple enemies to do a lot of damage. So that's where, right, Iron and Alma's combo comes in and synergize super well with her. Because for Tamazia's case, when she actually runs through the enemy, in case for those of you guys who do not know, she actually has this ability to interrupt them and knock them down for a little bit, right? So the knockdown duration is not really long, but you can actually lengthen the duration with the Prowling Roots ability of Almas over here. So this is a combination of multiple control synergies. Okay, so I'm gonna take out Arden, and then I'm gonna put I'll probably put in a Laika, or if I do need more control, I can actually put in our dear Danny over here. So the 5th slot is super duper flexible. Yeah, and this team don't actually need any form of sustain, because of like you just holding enemies in place and then subsequently reaching the 3rd buff for even more damage on the enemies itself, or more sustain through the life drain as well as the shielding. So you guys can see over here, not much of an issue with surviving, and we do have enough damage because Lily May exists. I think if it's another carry, right, you probably might not be able to achieve similar results, because right now Lily May just hits so hard that she's like this slight downgrade to Smokey in terms of general PvE push. So I think Smokey is still gonna be like this best late game damage dealer because of the AoE, because of the massive HP percentage. But right, if you want to try something new, there is no Smokey, no healer, this is one team that you guys can try. It's achieving quite good results, because I've pushed over 30-40 stages with just this team alone, and that's why I'm super happy to share with you guys, because it is a team I found a lot of success with without touching the game itself. So I just been logging in, doing this team, go to auto progress, doing other stuff, and I'm done with the game. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this team showcase. Just a really short one. I think this team also works in arena. I've actually been experimenting this team a lot in different contents, both in PvE as well as PvP. So I will be sharing my findings if I do find a very optimal combination that you guys can use. At least I'll say 70 to 80% win rate for myself before I actually share it, because if a team doesn't achieve 70 to 80% win rate, not at least against like some of the more usually used the meta comms itself, that is not exactly like that good of a thing to share. So right here, as you guys can see, Lily May actually died, but we still have multiple other win conditions in the control as well as Tasia Stampede. So this is one round which I can showcase Tasia being the main carry. You know, we took a little more time to actually try to finish it, but we lost to Damien, unfortunately. So what I'll do is I'll reposition Lily May probably, and if I do need more damage, then I'll swap out our dear. I guess I'll take out Danny and just slot back Arden into the mix just to get more damage off. Yeah, so this is the flexibility of this team, or rather the core 4 is basically the 4 units right there. And the 5th unit, you can adjust it based on your personal needs as well as what the stage needs of you. That's for the PvE side of things. Now, continuing my PvP discussion, I've been trying this team actively because one thing I realized is that this team actually does really well against a lot of the slower comms, and it does decently well against especially the Iron Skalita comm, which I have actually gotten a 70% win rate of it. So this is definitely one team that you can try if you have the units and you want to actually try something different against those Skalita comms out there, which is super duper common right now due to a power level. So that's one thing that you guys can definitely consider. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this video showcase, because all I want to do is showcase to you guys how this team functions, right? The effectiveness of this team in terms of stage clearing, as well as talk about being a little bit more variety in terms of the teams that you guys can use, because I think Smokey is definitely one really powerful unit and is definitely really free to play friendly, but then sometimes having alternative solutions or just having another team come to try the way differently is something that I enjoy as well. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe to see more. See you guys again in my next AFK journey video. Bye guys.